Hi, my name is Dawn, and I'm a 25-year-old trans girl from Tampa, Florida. I was born and raised here, and I've lived here for all my life, but I'm sad to say that Florida is no longer a safe place for queer and trans people. Due to recent laws passed by Governor DeSantis and his supporters like SB 254 and SB 1580, trans people are being cut off from and denied access to healthcare and prescriptions. And it doesn't stop there. Trans people in Florida can now be arrested even for simply using a public restroom. Now, I have known that I was trans for years now, ever since I was a teenager, but it was only a couple short years ago when I felt safe and confident enough to come out and start my transition medically. I wish I could have started earlier, closer to when I was 18, not 23, but the end of high school and my first years of adulthood were a very rough time for me for a number of reasons. I lost a close friend, my pet cat and little companion that I had since I was 13, and the last of my grandparents, all within the span of a few months during my senior year. That, combined with health issues worsening and new ones being diagnosed, was really a lot to deal with and process already. So it took me some time to come to terms with being trans and figure out a way to explain to my family and get my transition started and feel safe in doing so. I feel like ever since I've started my transition, and really this past year especially, I have finally started to put the pieces back together and figure out my life. But right as I was starting to hit a stride, I feel like the rug has been pulled out from under me. I've barely been on hormone replacement therapy for a little over a year now, and yet now I have to worry about if I can even continue to get my prescription filled, and if I'll be able to pay for it. Due to new rules passed into law with SB 254, physician assistants and nurse practitioners are barred from being able to prescribe HRT. My previous primary care is a nurse practitioner who can no longer renew my prescription. Plus, all doctor visits related to gender-affirming care must be conducted in person and can no longer be done through telehealth like they were before. This has cut off over 80% of people who are undergoing HRT in Florida from having access to potentially life-saving doctor's visits and prescriptions. And even if I am somehow able to continue to get my prescription, I'll be forced to pay for it and all my other transitive medical care out of pocket, because SB 254 includes stipulations that no public funds, whether they be state, county, city, etc., are to be used to cover gender-affirming care, which includes doctor visits, diagnostic tests, blood work, and prescriptions. And since I'm currently on public health care, that unfortunately applies to me. Pride doesn't get to be the celebration it ought to be this year for me and the other queers of Florida. Instead, I spend this month having to prepare for a sudden and overwhelming cross-country move. Almost all the states in the southern and central parts of the United States have already passed or are in the process of trying to pass the same or similar laws as Florida has. Meaning to get to a state where I can be safe and continue to get access to health care means moving across the country in one direction or another. Now, some of my friends reached out, and they luckily have an extra room at their place, and they've offered to rent it out to me for cheap, which I really appreciate. But they live all the way in Sacramento, California, which is on the entire other side of the country, and so first I have to get there. I'm planning on just driving the whole way down, but first I need to get my car, which has been having engine issues, of course, fixed before taking on a 3,000-mile cross-country road trip move with everything that I can own, everything that I own that I can Tetris into it stuffed inside. I never asked to be a political activist, or a refugee for that matter. I'm just a girl trying to figure out her life and how to be a productive member of society, and how to support myself and the people I care about, like anyone in their 20s. But now I have no choice but to upend my life and flee Florida and move across the country, far from both my immediate and extended family and a lot of my friends, as that's the only way to ensure that I will be safe and continue to have continued access to medical care and meds. Thank you for your time.